Welcome back to Nail Theory Foundations by Trieu London. In the previous video, we went over professional standards and practice and then hygiene. In today's video, we'll be going over preparation of the work area and health and safety. Okay. So the massage or nail treatment should be provided in a tranquil environment that will help relax your client and put them at ease. At the first treatment, a client is likely to feel uncertain and nervous from what to expect. Remain polite and respectful and keep a professional manner when dealing with your client. It's important to have a comfortable massage couch or a nail station and seating that's at the correct height for the therapist to be able to work safely and maintain his or her posture. Your area should be clean, tidy, well ventilated with relaxing music and soft lighting. Of course, from salon to salon, that depends. Depending on what kind of salon and what kind of vibe you're trying to give off, there might be more intense lighting and more upbeat music. Some general things, so heating. If it's, for example, massage or other beauty treatments, they need to make sure the room is heated to a comfortable temperature, and whether you're doing a manicure, make sure the towels are warm or where possible and they are clean. But in terms of heating, depending on what treatment you're providing, you'll need to consider that. More relevant to nails actually is ventilation. So if you're using acrylic nails and the monomer, which can have a very stagnant smell and linger in the air, it's important to have ventilation. Lighting also, so you do want to induce a soft and relaxing environment. Of course, again, depending on the kind of salon you're running or trying to offer, then it depends. Then the lighting depends on that. So for example, if you're offering a funky nail art salon, you might have a few more crazy lights. It might be neons and whatnot. If it's a professional spa-like environment, then you want professional soft lights. Of course, where you're working on the nail station, you do want a stronger light so you can actually see the work. In terms of sound, generally you want it to be quite tranquil and therapeutic. And again, this depends on the kind of environment that you are trying to sell. So this kind of service you're trying to sell. So going to health and safety. So health and safety just basically means taking care of everyone in the workplace. When you're working in the service industry, you're legally obliged to provide a safe and hygienic environment. This applies whether you're working in a hotel, beauty store, leisure center, or even privately. And you must pay careful attention to the health and safety to minimize risks. Exactly the same issue is true when working at clients' homes. It's essential to follow normal health and safety guidelines. So here are ways to identify and reduce hazards and risks in the workplace. So be aware of the workplace health and safety policy. So the main things: be aware. Personal presentation, ensure that it meets the health and safety and legislation requirements. Follow workplace policies. So follow policies. This way you minimize risk. Other ways to identify and minimize risk is to follow the latest health and safety legislation related to your work. So basically keep up to date. Also know who's responsible for health and safety in your workplace. So pass on any suggestions to reduce any health and safety risks. Report or deal with risk immediately. That's the main word here. Be aware of the first aid arrangements in the event of an accident. So by law, a salon has to display health and safety rules and regulation on the wall and display fire evacuation procedures. A salon owner is legally obliged to put in the rules covering health and safety to all employees and clients. The employee's role is they must follow these rules. So, how do you ensure health and safety is in the workplace? There's regular training should be given. Outline clearly to any future staff what's expected of them. Maintain records of injuries and first aid treatment. Provide a written health and safety booklet. Consult experts that are knowledgeable. So I thought it'd be quite good to list a few examples of risk and how we can possibly avoid them. So hazard from machinery and equipment when using or maintaining. So how to avoid, make sure the machinery and equipment are in good working order. Electrical equipment must be tested every 6 months and staff adequately trained to use it. When is referral necessary? When it's identified, you must make sure all staff are aware of it. If you need to refer to a manager if the machinery or equipment is vital to the smooth running of the salon. Another example of risk is spillage. So how to avoid, make sure you take care when mixing, pouring and filling chemicals. When do you need to refer it if the spillage material is actually corrosive or irritant. Third risk is slippery floors, resulting in staff not following rules for tidying the salon. How would you avoid that? Make everyone aware by blocking the area. You can block it with a chair to prevent the accident and border off the area. Sweep up the spills, mop up the spills with liquid, and refer to the cost sheets with correct methods. We'll come on to that later in the series and videos. When is the referral necessary? When it's acid, grease, or polishes are spilled. One of the other risks is environmental factors. So it can be generally anything from floods, fires, to just general other things. You need to make sure all staff follow the cost sheets and the manufacturer's instructions when disposing of chemicals, sharps, and infected waste. When will there need to be a referral? If staff are not following specific guidelines, when the skin is pierced by sharps or infected waste is left causing a hazard to salon staff and clients. So there is an act to note down, which is the Health and Safety Work Act 1974. This requires all employers to provide systems that are safe, systems of work that are safe and without risk to health. So the employee's duty is to provide the premises that's a safe place to work, systems, equipment, storage and transport of substances and material, access to the workplace exits, and good practices in the workplace. So the employer has responsibility to other persons, not employment. So that could be subcontractors, clients that actually enter the premises. So the employee, that's you if you're hired by a salon, your responsibility is to take care of yourself and other people affected by your work, and to also cooperate with the employer to follow the law. So you have the responsibility to take care during time at work and avoid personal injury, assist the employer meeting the requirements of the Health and Safety Act, and not to misuse or change anything that's been provided. Okay, so this health and safety topic will be going over quite a few European legislations, so do take note. Some of it may not be relevant to your course, some of it will, but it's worth knowing. So that was the Health and Safety Act. We went over what it outlines for employers and employees. But following that shortly was an EU directive which updated which led to loads of updates in legislation. So there are 6 main areas it covers. It's the provision and use of work equipment, manual handling operations, workplace health and safety, and welfare, personal protective equipment at work, health and safety, management of health and safety at work. So then, because of that directive that came from the EU, there's a few new legislations that actually popped up, and it might be worth knowing for your exam or your course. So the first one is the Management of Health and Safety at Work Regulations 1999. So it just requires the employers to make a formal agreement for maintaining and improving safe working conditions and practices. So any employer with 5 or more employees need to record risk assessment findings. So the employers need to identify potential hazards, assess potential risk, identify who is at risk, and how the risk is going to be minimized. And then generally review those risks for risk assessment. So in a nutshell, it's maintaining and improving safe working conditions. And how they do that is identify those risks, who's going to be affected, and regularly review them to reduce them. Another legislation that appeared from that EU directive is the Personal Protective Equipment at Work Regulations 1992. This requires managers to identify through risk assessment activities and processes which require special clothing and equipment. So employees must wear these protective clothing and protective equipment that's provided. And that's it, really. The next one is Manual Handling Operations Regulation 1992. So this mentions certain measures to be taken to avoid injuries such as strain disorders and pain in lower back. It covers manual lifting, so there's a few steps that you need to be aware of when lifting, say, a heavy box. So the first thing you want to do is think about the lift, where the load is going to be placed, do you need any help, and is there anything that can assist you? Get ready for the lift, stand with your feet apart. The third thing you want to do is bend at the knees whilst keeping a straight back, tuck in your chin, lean slightly over the load, and get a good grip. Once you get a good grip, you want to load the lift smoothly and think about your journey to where you need to go. Again, when putting this back down, bend your knees, keep your back straight, and slowly release. The other act that followed from this was Control of Substances Hazardous to Health Regulations, so COSH, we've mentioned a few times before. So this law requires employees to control exposure to hazardous substances in the workplace. So it requires labeling and being aware of those hazardous substances and correctly storing them. For example, highly flammable substances like alcohol sanitizer should be stored away safely. Explosive materials such as even air fresheners and pressurized cans you should avoid from heated areas, and then chemicals which can cause severe reactions and skin damage. These all need to be under this regulation, used appropriately and stored correctly. COSH precautions. Employers by law must identify, list, and assess in writing any substances in the workplace. All substances must be given a hazard ratio or risk assessment, even if it's 0. As an employee, you should read all the COSH sheets used in the salon and be safe. Another regulation that followed from the EU directive is the Electricity at Work regulation. This is concerned with the general safety of use of electricity in the workplace and how it affects the use of electrical equipment in the salon. So Regulation 4 of the Act it basically states that every 6 months or even a year, so in a busy salon, every 6 months or even a year, all electrical equipment must be checked by a qualified electrical person, which is called a PAT test. If it is found to be faulty, equipment must be withdrawn and repaired. So there's an electrical safety workbook, and this should include the dates, nature of the repair, who carried it out, and it should carry a list of tests that carried out on the equipment under inspection, the results of those tests, and who signed it off when it was carried out. The main thing for this under this act is that what it's for, and the fact that you're required to test all electrical equipment. Now, accidents. So accidents do happen in the workplace, and there should be an accident book and a report form. Some points to note. What should be recorded in the accident book are all the following here. So we have the date and time of the accident, the date of entry into the accident book. So sometimes an accident can happen the night before, but you might actually enter it the next day. The name of the person or people involved, the accident details, injury sustained, action taken, and signature of the person making the entry. Also possibly the signature of the victim. We then come on to a few more acts from the EU directive. This one's quite important to know. So RIDDOR, also known as Reporting Injuries, Diseases and Dangerous Occurrences Regulation. So it covers the recording and reporting of any serious accidents. So similar to that covers the accident workbook, and it should be basically reported to a local environment officer, health officer, whose remit covers salons. So that could be your local authority or a HSC. They assess the risk factors in each instance. So if there's an accident or death at work, this must be reported within 10 days. If an employee reports a work-related disease, a report must also be sent. Accidents as a result of violence or attack by another person must also be reported. Dangerous occurrences in which no one was actually hurt but must also be reported. For example, if there was a flood or a ceiling collapsed overnight but no one was injured. And also, if you're a mobile technician in a client's home and you've had an accident yourself, then you must also report this. So some of the accidents could be breakages and spillages. So one of the few things to, when there is a breakage or spillage, you need to determine whether the spillage is a hazard to health and what action needs to be made. So first, who should you report it to? What equipment is required to remove the spillage, and what material needs to be disposed of. Always consider your cost data and check to see how the product should be handled and disposed of. Where there is accidents, it's important to know first aid. So the Health and Safety First Aid Regulations 1991 states that the workplace must have a first aid provision. So you must have an adequate first aid arrangement in the workplace, and it's recommended that at least one person holds their HSC approved basic first aid qualification. All employees must know where to locate the box, who's responsible for the maintenance of the first aid box, which staff member to inform in terms of accident or illness, and which staff member to inform in the event of an accident or emergency. We then have the Employees Liability Act. So employers and self-employed people must hold insurance. For employers, you must insure for at least £2 million per claim, and also follow the recommendations of your association. Finally, quite important act is the Fire Precautions Act. All businesses on the business premises must undertake a fire risk assessment. There must also be a fire risk procedure, and every period of, say, 1 year, there must be a fire drill, which involves everyone and staff must be fully instructed, informed, and trained on what's expected during the fire drill. What you may get tested on is different types of fire extinguisher. It's quite common in the level 2 course. So you'll need to know here the color of the extinguisher, the type. So you can pause the video and check, and what it actually is suitable for and what it's not suitable for, and generally other notes. So let's go through it. So you'll have a fire extinguisher, which is a red can. You'll have a red banner around it, a yellow banner, blue banner, or black banner. So a red banner means the ingredient is water. It's for use suitable for any solids that's on fire, not for flammable liquids, not for flammable gases, and not for electrical equipment or cooking oil and gas. It can actually be dangerous on liquid fires or live electricity, because water does conduct electricity, so you should avoid. If you have a fire extinguisher with a yellow band, it's actually foam. It's suitable for solids, flammable liquids, not for gas, and not for electrical equipment that's on fire, but suitable for any cooking oils and fats that's on fire. Other notes, it's not practical for home. A fire extinguisher with a blue banner is dry powder. It's suitable for all of these except for cooking oil and fats. Finally, we have a fire extinguisher with a black banner, and it's carbon dioxide. It's not suitable for solids, suitable for flammable liquids, not suitable for gases, suitable for electrical equipment that's on fire, and suitable for cooking oils that's on fire. And safe for high, low voltages. Okay, so what we've covered in today's video is the preparation of the work area and health and safety. In the next video, we will be covering insurance and business promotion. Once again, I hope you really found this video useful. Make sure you're aware of some of the regulations and laws and which fire extinguishers used for what, and some of the employees and employees' responsibilities. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys again on the next video.